Sift the sand of every world and sort the dust of space between them, and you will find not one atom of fear, nor gram of love, nor dram of hatred. Yet they are there, unseen and uncertain as the smallest quanta, and just as real. My memory is to the world as a drawing is to the photograph. Imperfect, more perfect. We remember what we must, what we choose to, because it is more beautiful and real than the truth. I do not consider myself a great artist, though she made me wish I was. I could not have known at this first meeting how many times I would fail to capture her, in charcoal and in life. The brazen declaration of her, the pride in that upturned chin, the pointed nose, and the tidy carelessness that put her above the opinions of lesser men. There's little sign of her wit, so close to cruelty, in any of the drawings I made of her, and this poor prose cannot contain her beauty, body, or soul. They are only echoes, as is this. The fool believes the inequities of the world are the fault of other men. Gibson's voice, dry as old manuscript pages, had never been more clear. The truly wise tried to change themselves, which is the more difficult and less grand task. All right, what's up, sci-fi fans, fantasy fans, Christopher Rocchio supporters, Sun Eaters, whatever. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Empire of Silence, Book 1 of the Sun Eater series by Christopher Rocchio. So, I'm kind of late to the game on this one, and I actually met Christopher Rocchio. He had a book signing at the Woodlands Barnes and Noble that I go to pretty frequently, and Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, who I'm a huge fan of, was there. I actually got a selfie. I may put it up there. But yeah, I went to a Christopher Rocchio signing. I heard him talk about, Shadows Upon Time and his new releases, and he just seemed like a really genuinely kind dude. He was very humble. When I went and got my it was a copy of, I think it was Kingdoms of Death that I got signed, because I knew I had these broken binding editions coming in, so I didn't get Empire of Silence signed. Because broken binding was coming, so I instead brought the one I bought at Barnes and Noble. And then I also felt guilty, because if I would have brought my UK version to get signed, it's like I think I should have gotten signed a volume in the series. Like, I should have gotten the US signed that was being sold at that Barnes. Like, if I brought my own book, I don't know. I just felt like it'd be kind of loitering adjacent. But okay, I'm rambling. So Empire of Silence. What did I think about this sci-fi series that everyone seems to rave about? Was it everything? And I have to be honest, it was fucking awesome. This is without a doubt, it is in my top 2 favorite sci-fi series of all time. Maybe top 3. I don't know, because I still really love The Locked Tomb, and I'm 3 books deep, and I'm only 1 book deep in this. But everyone told me, like, get through book 1, book 2 is even better, and then book 3 is like the best. Like the point in the series where it's like, that's like the Malazan's Memory of Ice. It's like it's the Words of Radiance of Stormlight. It's the point in the series where everyone falls in love. And all I can say is, so my expectations were like kind of lowered going into this. And while I'm talking to you about it, I'm going to show off this broken binding edition. Is like, they cooked, used every spice in the kitchen, creating these special editions, those awesome sprayed edges. But, what was I talking about? I went into this with lower expectations. I'd heard that Hadrian is kind of an edgelord, kind of like a Sasuke from Naruto type character. And I do see the comparisons. Like, he is, kind of emo goth a little bit. Like, he's very negative, but he very much reminds me, if you've read The Awakening by Kate Chopin, which is a work of feminist literature, The Bird in the Gilded Cage. That's what Hadrian feels like to me. Like a lot of plebeians will look at this Palestine and be like, oh, he's finding something to complain about. And I think readers feel the same way, because he grew up in this noble house. I see a lot of echoes of Paul Atreides in him, but I feel like he was done better. So he did inherit a lot of privilege, but just like the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and I have been guilty of this. I have been envious of people that maybe, grew up middle class or, wealthier and, haven't had the same struggles I have. I think that this book, you follow Hadrian when he's, the son of a powerful man, and you follow him when he has nothing. And I think it's an examination that the grass isn't always greener, and that regardless of your station, you still find everyone has their own issues, and you can't really understand it until you walk a mile in someone else's shoes. So a few highlights of this before I get into spoilers. I'm gonna get into spoilers. I'll put it real obvious down below when it's spoiler time. But keeping it spoiler light, I really enjoyed Hadrian's relationship with Crispin and his parents in the beginning. Well, I know Hadrian did not enjoy it, but I have to say the best relationship on the Delos part of this story was between Hadrian Marlowe and Tor Gibson. I thought their type of relationship was beautiful, and I thought the Scholiasts were actually a more empathetic version of the Mentats from Dune, and there is a lot of Dune in this. Fear is a poison, just like fear is the mind killer. But Dune fans will probably come at me for this. I do think Christopher Rocchio is a better technical writer than Frank Herbert. There's nothing against Frank Herbert. He should be commended for the way he has influenced the sci-fi genre. We would not have Sun Eater if it were not for Frank Herbert. But I have to say, on a technical level, Christopher Rocchio is a wordsmith. I've heard this said, like, compared to like a cross between Dune and Name of the Wind, and I will say I don't think his pen game is quite as sharp as Rothfuss on his first entry in Kingkiller Chronicles, but he's right behind him. Like this, I could very easily, in this being the first book, his debut novel, I believe it's his debut novel, I could easily see him getting to that Steven Erikson, Robin Hobb, Janny Wirtz level of just elegant prose. And I'm a big prose guy. The prose, the dialogue, it all feels authentic. And this is told in a framing narrative. So this is Hadrian recounting his story to us. But then there's also a second layer peeled back because it is a translation that somebody else has scored through of Hadrian's accounting of events. And yeah, I definitely think you should read it if you like great first-person narration, if you like examinations of religion and class, and a deconstruction of the hero as the hero is being constructed in a way. It's a lot more conscious, in my opinion, than like Paul Atreides from Dune, which in the Denis Villeneuve movies, I do believe it's more conscious of, the white savior cliche. But in the original Dune novel, I felt like Paul Atreides was not portrayed as much of a villain. And I think Hadrian Marlowe is just so much more nuanced than Paul Atreides. He's neck and neck with Darrow Olycos from the Red Rising saga. These are my two favorite sci-fi protagonists ever. And Christopher Rocchio cleverly employs his first-person narration to tell a truly amazing series. All right, spoilers are coming in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so from what completely blew me away, and I think Rocchio did on purpose, is when he's introducing you to Dimitri's crew, you really feel like this is your cast of characters you're getting to know, especially with the way the homunculus makes those comments about Hadrian, and then he just wakes up on Imesh. Everything gone. And what I wanted to say in the previous non-spoiler section is it really deconstructs class, because Hadrian, when he's at his lowest with Kat, or when he's forced to fight, with all of his friends in the Colosseum, Switch, all of them, you really find him at his happiest, because you see him before when he's at Delos, and he just doesn't fit in with these people. He does not fit in with the rest of the Marlows. He sticks out like a sore thumb next to Crispin and his father, and he gets slumming it for a while, and then whenever the Duke of Imesh, I forget his name, when he has Hadrian basically come on as how Hadrian phrases it is a prize bull to be bred. When he enters that, the nobile lifestyle once more, you can feel it in his voice, like in his narration, the strain that put on him. And yes, there was Valka, helped ease that strain a little bit. She wasn't of a similar mind as some of the nobles that he was around in that setting. But I really felt like Hadrian was at his happiest in the Colosseum, with like-minded people. He really was born in the wrong class. And I don't think Hadrian is just this edgelord that would have been miserable no matter what. Yes, he does create a lot of his own issues. Yes, he does find a problem with his very privileged lifestyle. But I think if he had been born, in Switch's social class, I do think he would have been happier. Um, all right, so the Cielsen, what did I think of them? I am so confused with the Cielsen because everything I have seen thus far, I cannot imagine them being this just like purely evil race that needs to be eradicated. But we know from little hintings that Hadrian has given us that that is the case, even though right now, currently, he is of the mindset that we need to broker peace with the Cielsen. So we know that the Cielsen are like pure evil, I feel. But they really don't come across that way in this first book, like at all. And I've always said that I really hate purely evil races. Like, I love Tolkien, will always love Tolkien. He's probably the only one that's a favorite of mine that gets a pass, but I don't like the idea of a purely evil race. I don't like how the orcs from Mordor are purely evil. I don't like how Trollocs are purely evil in the Wheel of Time. It just gives this like cannon fodder, like, oh, you just wanted our heroes to be able to kill a bunch of NPCs and it not matter. This Rockio is able to give us what could be a purely evil race, and it is done so well because our protagonist does not have that outlook on them. And then it's like, damn, are these really demons? Like, is the church, do they happen to be right? And yeah, I'm very intrigued to move forward. I do think one thing that has me very intrigued, and I listened to this on audiobook with Samuel Rolkin. He did amazing. I don't know if it was just me not picking up on things or me imagining things, because sometimes whenever I listen on audio, I'm not, as, meticulous with my note taking. But was there some time related stuff, some visions of the future going on? Because, I mean, also, I know book 7 is going to be called Shadows Upon Time, so that makes me think, mehaps, yes. But yeah, loved Empire of Silence. If you've read this, let me know what you think. If you haven't read it, comment down below if it's something you're interested in getting into. Tell me if it only gets better from here and what you think of the overall series. And if you love this book and can think of some other recommendations that are similar, let me know down in the comment section below. Be sure to follow my Bookstagram. It's it's Shay's Library, Shay's _library. And peace.